I may not have been on this coaster in over 10 years, but I still remember it pretty well, so let's go ahead and do a review. I'm gonna rank every coaster and give them my review. Every drop and every hill, every launch and every loop. Rate it 1 to 10 and then we'll do it all again. Gonna rank and review every coaster. Superman Ultimate Flight is a flying coaster manufactured by B&M. This particular Superman layout is currently featured on 4 roller coasters, 3 of which reside at Six Flags parks in the United States, and the first of which to open was at Six Flags Over Georgia. The flying coaster in general is a revolutionary design that seats passengers face down, parallel to the track, giving what I can only imagine is about as close to a flying experience as possible. Although I have never just put my arms out and Peter Panned all over the place before, so who knows for sure. And that's what really makes this coaster great for me. While it's not considered one of the better flying coasters, Superman is still super fun. It offers high flying moments, low to the ground near misses, and great interaction with the terrain. That being said, the layout of the ride is a tad underwhelming, and Superman's stats are a bit indicative of that. It has a height of 106 feet, a top speed of 51 miles per hour, 2 inversions, a track length of 2,759 feet, and a ride duration of 41 seconds from the end of the lift hill to the beginning of the final brakes. So clearly nothing too groundbreaking, but I don't really care that the layout is not particularly exciting or it's certainly not unique, because I still think this ride is great. And to touch more on why that is, let's take a quick look at Superman's off-ride experience. Superman Ultimate Flight is located in the back right corner of Six Flags Over Georgia, and while it isn't the tallest ride in the park, it does look quite imposing over its plaza area, especially with that large pretzel loop adjacent to its entrance. Superman doesn't offer much by the way of theming, but it does at least have a nice entrance sign as well as a massive Superman S logo in the plaza. The coaster's appearance is decent, sporting blue supports and red track in present day, but I do think the yellow rails on the track that the coaster used to feature offered a nice finish to the overall Superman aesthetic of the ride. I do not remember much about the queue or operations of this ride, but I think it's safe to say that they are probably pretty slow, as is the case with almost any flying coaster. There's just a lot to check, so I would be ready for a slow-moving line with this coaster. But now let's get to the fun part and look at the on-ride experience. Superman dispatches out of the station at ground level, which to me is pretty interesting and unique compared to other flyers. You continue to hug the ground as you begin ascending the lift hill, and after a few seconds you crest the small hill that you were climbing. Once you make it to the top of the lift, you'll slowly start making your way into the first drop. This drop is quite similar to other flying coasters as you descend at a mild angle while turning until you are back near the ground. This turn is a tad more mild than most flyers, as the transition from unbanked to banking on the turn is extra smooth and extra gradual. Reaching the bottom of that first drop, you are greeted with your first of many near misses, with these shade structures going over the queue line. The element that follows is a relatively standard pretzel loop, and let me be clear, just because I'm calling it standard does not mean that it isn't amazing. It is standard compared to other pretzel loops, but a pretzel loop is an extraordinary inversion nonetheless. Rising up into the first part of the element gives you a nice mild floating sensation. Dropping down towards the ground is one of the trippiest feelings as you dive headfirst before the track levels out and you are suddenly on your back. This is where you will feel the most positive G-forces on the ride, pushing you into your seat back. And again, this isn't as forceful as larger pretzel loops such as the one found on Tatsu, but it is more than enough to still make your face melt. And that feeling of somersaulting head over heels, especially if you've never done a pretzel loop before, is still more than breathtaking. Going up out of the element, you will start to feel lighter again, and experience another brief floater moment. Superman then follows its most intense moment with its most tame, with a slow-paced, high-in-the-air turnaround. While this element offers nothing by the way of forces or intensity, it definitely offers some great visuals, and this is the best part of the ride to just enjoy the flying sensation and really appreciate how high up you are. You then gradually pick up speed as you swoop back down towards the ground again, and you get another near miss with shade structures. Immediately after you are flying right above the ground, it feels like you can just reach down and touch it, which really adds to the ride's excitement by making you feel like you're traveling much faster than you are. That leads to 2 consecutive overbanked turns that turn in opposite directions, featuring more near misses and low to the ground flying. These turns are moderately forceful. The second turn specifically leads into a brief tunnel that is followed by an upward helix. The ground continues to be what feels like inches away from you, so you're maintaining a nice sense of speed, and the force of your body being pulled away from the track is pretty decent here as well. The final element of the ride is an inline twist. This inversion is taken at a relatively slow pace, so it offers a very nice floating sensation as you roll face up onto your back, and then face down again. This inversion being fun and floaty and just enjoyable is a very nice contrast to the very intense pretzel loop. You then hit the brakes, and if you're lucky, you won't have to wait there for several minutes. But more likely than not, if they are running 2 trains, you will have to. So if you've never been on a flying coaster before, just be prepared for a bit of discomfort as you dangle face down while you wait to arrive back into the station. So, what would I rate this coaster? I would give it a very solid 8 out of 10. And the flying aspect definitely does a lot of the heavy lifting. I know the ride elements and forces are nothing too special, but that being said, the ride does still have its shining moments. And again, overall, I just can't help but enjoy the feeling of flying. As far as where this coaster ranks, it sits within the top 30% of coasters I have been on at number 73 out of 273. But the rating and ranking very well might change once I get back on Superman. But that's it for me. Let me know what you guys think of these Superman flying coasters in the comments down below. Make sure to give this video a like if you enjoyed it, subscribe and turn on notifications for more content like this, and make sure to tune in next time where I'll be talking about... Oh yeah, I have been waiting for this one. Jesus, it is so hot, I'm sweating, I'm melting. You know it's not super? This heat wave.